How deeply grateful I am to know that something magnificent is happening. Love is moving, and love is never not moving. Sometimes I don't sense the movement of love because my mind kind of overlays the love with all these thoughts based in fear that would obscure the movement of love. But it's always happening. Just like it could be a night where it's very cloudy and I may say, oh, there's no stars in the sky, but there are stars. I just can't see them. So we want to just bow to the movement of love happening where you are, the movement of love happening where I am. And when we honor this movement, even when we would think, in quotes, think in air quotes, that it isn't there, we're beginning to activate faith. Faith is it's an activity of consciousness that connects us to what we're not seeing clearly in a moment, but our heart is knowing. And in a way, our heart is seeing. So I bless you and I bless me, I bless us with the awareness of the movement of love as our very lives. Furthermore, I claim and declare for you, for me, for us, for those you love, for those I love, that we might open so wide to love, we might open so far to love, so completely to love, omnidirectionally to love, that we actually have a revelation that there's actually no spot where love is not. So I know something is happening already that is shifting our attention from fear to love, from a sense of constriction to one of actual, real possibility. I say thank you for this Prayer on the Air episode. I accept that that which is to be said is said, what is to be heard is heard, and that which is to be embraced is embraced, what is to be seen is seen, what is to be released is released. So I name myself open. I invite you to be open, receptive, willing, deeply willing to be blessed. I let it be with real gratitude, deep gratitude, and so it is. Amen. Amen, amen. My name is Angela Montano. You are listening to Prayer on the Air. We are a podcast. I include you in this podcast, whether you're with me live right now or you're listening from somewhere in the world. And we are a collection of souls open to the mysterious, extraordinary power of prayer. We're open to realizing the energy of prayer in our very bones, that we may experience the not just the reduction of suffering, but the release of suffering, that we may live ever more fully and completely in our own loving nature. And I don't mean loving as opposed to mean, I mean unconditionally loving. I mean this nature within you, this nature within me that loves the mean part of me, that loves the mean part of you, which the mean part is just the fearful part. I don't know about you, but all my worst behavior has been when I'm afraid, when I feel threatened. So might we have compassion for those parts of ourselves. Last count, we are being listened to and participated. There are participants in Prayer on the Air in 62 different countries, which every time I say it, it thrills me. When it was 19 countries, it thrilled me. I don't know, as a little girl, the idea of going to another country seemed like this exotic thing to me. And I laughed because my dream was so small. It wasn't even to go to another country one day. It was, I used to think maybe I'll know someone from another country. So my dream is very much being fulfilled because I know all of you from all these different countries and states. We're in all different states in the United States, 62 different countries. So I welcome you. And we're not a religious, it seems like we would be, wouldn't it? A religious podcast, prayer so associated with religion. But this isn't bound in religiosity. This is bound in the energy of prayer that is alive, was alive before even the first religion was formed. I like kind of my basic go-to, if I ever had one, definition of prayer is I regard it as an instinct to reach beyond. It's an instinct to reach beyond my current thinking that would bound me to a narrative out of which I believe I have no choice but to suffer. So we're of all different faiths. Some of us come from, a background in Judaism. Somebody else is, Muslim, Christian, Hindu. We have a number of atheists. Many of us call ourselves spiritual but not religious. So we're just very, very broad-minded. And guess what? An open mind leads to an open heart. It's a stunning thing. Closed mind, does lead to a closed heart. And we all close our hearts and our minds. And then we open and we close and we open. So if you're on that jerky back and forth thing, just know you're not alone. If I judge one thing about you, oh, why did you wear that shirt? Why did you get that haircut? I can't believe you're wearing those glasses. How can we be dating that person? I can't believe you said that. The minute I judge you, why did you order that for dinner? Why didn't you have dinner? Anything. So you see how quickly I can judge. I could probably do that for an hour, just think of things I could find fault with. But the minute I do that, my heart, it's got to close a little. The moment I judge, that door closes a bit. It hurts me. It may never hurt you. You may not be in the paradigm of judgmental thoughts that I am. It's not going to hurt you. It hurts me. Albert Einstein is reported to have said, when asked by an interviewer, how did you manage when you were so hated by so many people in the scientific community? There was a time when his theory of relativity came forward, and a lot of people who had scientific grants, they got nullified, and he was not popular. Like they were going with, I guess, a new Newton's perspective. Anyway, he was not a popular chap for a brief time or a time. And I this inspires me. I don't know if this can be me or ever will be me. Maybe it's been me. Maybe it's been you from a moment or time to time. Maybe it can grow. But he said, those arrows of hate that were flung at me never harmed me at all. And he said, I do not live in the paradigm from which those arrows of hate were flung. So the arrows of hate, the arrows of judgment, the arrows of dismissal, they just hurt the one flinging. It's like, because there's only one of us. So it really behooves us, doesn't it, to be interested in non-judgment. And how do we get non-judgmental, right? Because that ego, that part of us, who we take ourselves to be, who we are is this radiant emptiness, this emptiness that is full, that is love. Divine love. I heard someone once recently say, we're all born of divine love and dust. That's what we are. That's who we are. But of course, daggone it, there's who we take ourselves to be. That is the identity I created out of my ignorance, ignoring the oneness, ignoring the union, ignoring God loving me. So this Angie, separate and apart from God, formed a separate self. It's fictitious. Who I take myself to be is fictitious, but I act as if it's real. So from the fictitious me, man, oh man, I have opinions. I have judgments. I know. It's the I know mind. And that's why we're always traversing in prayer. The movement of love is inviting us into the deliciousness of the I don't know mind. I'm working with a mantra that I came across recently. It's I don't know and I don't need to know. I don't know and I don't need to know. I don't know and I don't need to know. I don't know and I don't need to know. I don't know and I don't need to know. I don't know and I don't need to know. The more I do it, the quieter and emptier my mind becomes, and the more receptive I become. What I've been learning, practicing, and experimenting with is this intelligence of the heart that doesn't need the support of my fear-based thinking, my fear-based, I know, I know, I know. Speaking of I know, this is so funny. It was Mother's Day on Sunday, and I have an offspring, an adult young daughter who's finishing college. She's she's almost done, and she's just got some online courses. She's doing it from home. So I've got her here, and I've got my husband here. And I told them, I don't need any presents. I have recently stocked up on my favorite skincare. I went to the store I like to buy clothes from, and I've had a recent TJ Maxx run. So I'm kind of stocked up with my little things that normally would be my Mother's Day gifts or gift card or something. I said, I don't need anything. And I said, you know what I would love, if anything, would be the pantry cleaned out. Our pantry right now looks like we've just taken the cereal box and thrown it in, or the oatmeal can and thrown it in. Like, you would not believe it. Like, there's tea here, there's tea here. It was recently organized. When I say recently, like maybe 9 or 10 months ago, but it's just gotten crazy. So I was in the bedroom, I think it was Saturday night, in my bedroom, and they said, don't come out, don't come out. And in my mind, I thought, oh, they're cleaning the pantry. They're doing it. They said, don't come out. I talked to my sister. So what do you think? I thought, oh, I think Fran and Grace are cleaning the pantry out, blah, 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 blah. Anyway, I go to bed. I wake up, I say to Fran, can I come out? Is it okay to go out in the, kitchen area of the house? He goes, sure, go out. I look in the pantry. None of it's been cleaned. You see? So I am, my thinking. That was the I know mind. Sorry, let me get this. That was the I know mind. Like, I could imagine them doing it. I saw them. I knew they'd be a team on the beam. All of it was my imagination. Now, that's a funny one. And I ended up getting sweet presents and the most beautiful notes. I had the most lovely day. But man, oh man, how right I thought I was. I saw it all. I saw all the things coming out. I saw it all being put on this sort of like long farm table I have. I saw them. Oh, I thought, they went out for a little bit. I thought, oh, they probably went to the Container Store. None of it happened. And so, I knew I grew up thinking imagination was the wonderful thing, right? Like, if you can imagine it, you can have it. Like, dream, believe, and have. And it is a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful thing to have an open mind when it comes to possibility. But what am I ignoring when I'm in my mind watching Fran and Grace clean the pantry? I'm ignoring my beautiful moment. I was reading at the time. I mean, how attentive could I even have been to what I was reading, right? Like if we let go of the I know, I mind, what happens is we're so much more exquisitely present to the light in the room where we are, to the breath, to the smells, to the sensations. All the things our ego would say, well, that's too boring. The only thing that's interesting is imagining what somebody's doing for me. That's interesting. But what's alive is me in that moment. Again, just what am I seeing? What am I hearing? The mystery. So I don't know and I don't need to know. I don't know and I don't need to know. I don't know and I don't need to know. And this does bring me to what I wanted to discuss a little bit. Just a tiny bit before prayer requests are taken. So feel free to raise your hand or write your request in. Is I wanted to talk about trusting life. No, it's really quite impossible to trust life if life is out there and I'm in here. And I hope nothing bad happens out there that affects what's in here. And how do I live cautiously enough that nothing bad out there happens to me in here, but adventurously enough that, I have a little fun, right? Like I'm always having to calculate and keep myself safe. What happens, I'm curious, if we open to I want to say like I don't know how to say it, but I'm just going to say a true safety, a true trusting life. A very, very, very deep trusting all is well. All is well. I had a revelation, in my experience one day very recently in the last 3 days. And I was shown all these moments of my life where I would have said to you, oh, that all wasn't well in that moment. All wasn't well in this moment. Yeah, I'm still dealing with post-traumatic stress from this moment, and then there's cascading post-traumatic stress from this thing and that thing. And like just all these things, I just would have said, well, all wasn't well then. And would you believe it? I actually saw all was well. Before, during, and after, every moment that I thought all wasn't well. I don't know how I saw through the illusion of the separation, but somehow something fell away. And it was like, all is well. It's very deep. I think it's from this deep, transcendent all is well. Somehow I think our hearts know this, that we become truly open to trusting life. Our mind goes, this could go wrong, this could go wrong, hope this goes right, hope this doesn't go wrong, this is my agenda, got to get this done, or hope they do that. It's a tight grip. But when we loosen that and trust life, we're open to true, I really believe, magic and majesty and so much compassion. It's not a control. It's a releasing of control, which I believe we never have in reality, and an opening to just what is, loving what is, trusting what is. So I think that's my prayer, is that I might, you might, we might, if you're interested, I know I am, deepening in this. I heard a story of a man, I do not remember his name if I ever knew it, but he was a man who wrote a hymn. I don't know if it was a Methodist hymn, but it's some Christian hymn, Protestant, Methodist. Well, Methodist is Protestant, Presbyterian, Methodist. I think like some Protestant hymn writer. And the hymn is, all is well with my soul. All is well with my soul. And the story I read was he wrote that right after his twin daughters had passed from, I think it was scarlet fever, that he had a revelation of all being well, a revelation that death never comes, a revelation that there's a perfection that's orchestrated that's beyond our interpretation of it, right? Our interpretation is twin girls passing on a ship of scarlet fever. Well, all is not well. But on a very real, deep level of love, unfailing love, he somehow tapped into that, and that hymn burst forth from his soul. So it's quite interesting, isn't it? To think that could be possible. Now, the ego goes, well, it's good, but I don't want any twin daughters I have going that way, right? It's so scary. How would I live through that? That's again who we take ourselves to be.